is that important? It's actually a pretty good example of how disability is being integrated into all of our products. But it's also a good example of a modern disability tool. Is this just in case somebody is deaf in the audience? Are subtitles only useful to people who are deaf or are hard of hearing? Not at all. I absolutely know that if I go into a bar and I'm trying to watch the football, I miss the subtitles. I ask them to put them on. So I've become somewhat reliant on subtitles. I like to see them. They're certainly not certainly worth having if you're trying to get kids interested in words. It's certainly worth looking at if we're just interested in literacy. If we're exposing children to words in time to my voice, then that's got to be a good thing. The real answer here is that this has become easy for Microsoft to do most recently. So we just weren't ready to offer live subtitles. How are we doing as well on accuracy? I've got a few... We're doing okay. We're doing okay. If any of you don't have English as a first language, you can also log into this through your laptop. So if you just go to translator.microsoft.com and type in this code when prompted, you can have this presentation just in your own language. If you've got the Translator app on your phones, you can also have it in your own language. And it's this concept of inclusion. This is not a disability tool. This is not a special software for a special group of people tool. This is about how do we include everybody in technology just by making simple changes and allowances and personalization within their experience on a PC or on their phone or just in Office on an iPad. So let me just go to my first slide. I am going to put I am going to tell you that I updated to the latest Windows Insider edition this afternoon. So I am kind of leaping forward regardless. Disability, the way we think about it, and when I say think about it, we're hacking on disability a lot in Microsoft at the moment. We're getting project teams to think about disability a lot, but we're pushing it to them in this way. That disability is no longer a medical condition where you say this person has cerebral palsy. What does a teacher think when they say this child has cerebral palsy? How is that useful? But if you say this child has physical disabilities, we think they've got some cortical vision impairment, when you get into the functional disabilities, that's a much more useful way to talk about it, because then we can think about what allowances and what changes we will make. All three of these people have the same disability, the way that Microsoft thinks about it. They all have to be able to type one-handed. They all have to be able to input text onto their PC with one hand. They all need exactly the same setting. There is no difference. Yeah? They might want to use some voice input, so we now have dictation in Office. We can also use the dictation tool in OneNote. They may want to use a bit of Cortana to do some of the basics and use their voice. But also, there's something called sticky keys, so if you just turn to your devices and press the right shift key 5 times. Sticky keys, one-handed typing, has been in Windows since Windows 95. And some of you have probably just found it by accident, just by pressing that shift key 5 times, by accident a few times. But how many of you would honestly, hand on heart, say if a child walks into your classroom on Monday morning and has broken their arm, that you would say, well, just turn sticky keys on? Right. And that's the challenge. We have to make these settings so normal in our everyday experiences of technology that when we come across a situational disability, I cannot see, I cannot touch, I cannot hear, we know what the solution is. When you break your arm in the ER, you're in accident emergency, why are we not told, or given a little piece of paper that says, hey, when you go back to school tomorrow morning, hit your right shift key 5 times, and you'll still be able to carry on. We've got to make it sure that everybody in society knows that accessibility is just a setting and a personalization. How do you magnify on your phones? How did you know that? How did you know that that magnifies on your phone? Because situationally, you depended on it. You found a button you couldn't press, you saw a screen you couldn't see, and everybody else was doing it, so you just did it. How do you zoom in and magnify on a web page? Control plus, fabulous. So first things first, Control plus, but is that actually that useful? Because if we're running lots of different bits of software, do we have to make sure that they're all delivered from the browser? Or do we want to magnify our entire OS? So Windows key plus will now magnify Windows 10 just magnify, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. I'll show you. If I zoom in on here, I can zoom right in on that word exclusion. Have I made you focus on that word exclusion? Could you as teachers use a tool that allowed you just to magnify right in on the centre of your screen to grab people's attention? Is zooming just something that we should all routinely know how to do? And that's really the challenge that we have in the world of accessibility, is to allow kids with permanent disabilities to have solutions offered to them because they've become normalised. Yeah? Zooming should be normal, magnification should be normal. Yes? Yeah, Windows Plus. Windows Plus. There are people walking around if for whatever reason it's not. It's working on there, right? Yeah. On yours. Windows 10 creators up. It's been in Windows 10 for a while. The news on magnification is that we now use intelligence in there. So it used to be a very ugly pixelated experience, whereas now we use bitmap smoothing, so we actually get some really crisp magnification. So it's actually a feature that people will want to use. Okay. The other really important thing as teachers to understand, as human beings to understand, is that people don't share their disabilities with you. People don't necessarily tell you what they're struggling with. A child who is struggling to read doesn't necessarily offer that information up front, or a child who cannot see doesn't always tell you. So trying a few things out rather than doing kind of full-blown assessments and looking at special software is something that a lot of teachers want to do. So if they're not sharing it with you, you've got to make sure that the people with situational needs get it, share it, and then people with permanent requirements really get those solutions too. So this is not a talk where we're going to take you into the disability solutions. This is a talk about personalisation of your computer experience for all of accessibility. Okay? And that is our hope, is to move away from what we really have today, which is integration. We allow, we work with kids with special requirements in schools. We give them special software, we give them special solutions, and they do it their way. They do the same thing their way. But what we really want to do is get to a world where actually we just tweak and allow every human being to personalise their experience on the computer and bring people with disabilities along with us. Okay? That puts a real onus on us to make sure that these solutions are great. Oh, by the way, that's the World Health Organization's redefinition of disability. It's not a personal health condition. It's a mismatch between you and what you're trying to achieve. So if I land in Shanghai and I cannot read, I have a situational disability. It's as simple as that. Okay. A great example, which is not on your services, although it could be, is Xbox Copilot. Are any of you gaming disabled? Do any of you struggle to play Xbox? Good. Okay. If we listen to the definition, that is the definition. I used to play my Xbox. I then gave it up for 15 years, and now I've got a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old at home. I'm now having to play catch-up. Luckily, we have this feature called Copilot in Xbox. Copilot allows you to get one character, one car in a game, and use two controls. It's like an extra steering wheel, yeah, on a car. And now my kids play, and then I say, okay, I'll take this corner, and they go on then, but be careful. And then I take the corner, and then I start to crash it, and they say, let go, and then they take over. We both have mutual controls all the time, and it's a great way for me to be pulled along. But what we're realizing is, because of inclusive design, that also allows a child with muscular dystrophy to steer the car with their chin on one controller and have a second controller down here where they can do the brake and the accelerator. Because we've designed it inclusively, people are finding their own solutions and making it work for the permanent disabilities. So why can't we do the same with Windows and with Office? Why can't we just put put the stabilizers on to help people and bring them along, and not go full blown into kind of specialist software, but find solutions that some people need for different reasons. So we're going to run through. Oh, hello. Yeah, okay, give me a moment. That auto saved earlier. IT. Yeah. Okay, while that's being looked at, so we're going to look at vision, we're going to look at hearing, cognition, and physical disability. So on your devices on Vision, if you just open up, thank you, if you just open up PowerPoint in your browser, we've talked about magnifying, we've talked about, I need to see that. I need to see that. I think it's because the resolution is on. Okay, my idea if we're going to help you. So you're in PowerPoint. We've looked at magnification. There's something called alt text. If you're permanently blind, you totally rely on descriptions being in your on your pictures. For years, you've had the ability to check your documents and check that they can have descriptions behind them. So any image in a PowerPoint presentation, you can right-click that image and edit the alt text, the alternative text. That is the description that will appear to somebody who needs it. Thank you. Okay. If I insert a picture now into my PowerPoint, so you can follow along and do this, pick any picture you want. Scroll down, I'm going to try this one, and insert. Something's going to happen, something magical is going to happen. This says alt text, a small, I'll just zoom in, or make it bigger. A small elephant standing on top of a dirt field. As soon as we put an image into PowerPoint, a description was put in for somebody who has vision impairment or is blind, automatically. Now, I have to tell you, that's not always going to work perfectly. If you pick a picture of Donald Trump in there, it will say a man wearing a suit and tie. And that doesn't really convey the message you were trying to get across in your PowerPoint. But because it gives this description here, it forces teachers to think, what is that description? And then we can routinely help people find out what this thing called alt text is. Now, when you are making your PowerPoint or your documents accessible, who are you doing that for? Are you doing it for the one blind child in your class? Or maybe we're doing it because we might have to make the assumption that some of the parents getting these materials might also have vision impairments. Or maybe that document will be put onto your SharePoint, shared within your district, and if that's not accessible, you're creating work for somebody else down the line. So checking accessibility is a really important thing. If you just go into the review tab in PowerPoint, and see next to the spell checker and the thesaurus, we have check accessibility. Any document you publish, any worksheet, any PowerPoint, any Word document, you can check it for accessibility. And it will look at, are there labels behind the images? It will give you a report and it will tutor you on how to make it accessible for somebody who uses assistive technology and uses a screen reader. Since we put that button there on the top ribbon, global use has gone up 500%. So 500%, 5 times more documents in the world are being checked for accessibility than they were before we changed that position. This is pretty amazing stuff, but it's helping you learn more about what good accessibility is. Okay, I'm going to move on to hearing. Presentation Translator is available to you all, but so is the app. When we think about the social dynamic between children and adults, but if you're speaking to somebody who uses sign language, how confident do you feel? You may not always approach somebody who uses sign language to be able to communicate, because you might think, I can't sign, this is an awkward situation. We've got to remove that social stigma. The app that you're seeing here for subtitles is also available as a phone app. I can talk to my phone and speak in there and get English subtitles, just come straight up on my phone or in any language. But that means that I am changing the way that I approach people who are deaf. If I go and see somebody who's hard of hearing, I go and absolutely positively approach them and communicate. And we're having some amazing conversations that I wasn't having 3 years ago. So we're looking at how technology is changing the social dynamic for people with disabilities. All of these subtitles that we're getting from my PowerPoint can be saved. If somebody just wasn't keeping up during the lesson, I can save that text and share it out with them. That's one of the wins. But also our video repository Stream. So a school can take all of its video materials and store them on Microsoft Stream. We automatically transcribe any videos that you upload to your servers. That means they're automatically accessible. You know, we've done all the heavy lifting for you. Now, somebody who's deaf can take that video and have subtitles there. We can obviously check them for clarity and quality and make them even better. But the absolute win is that you can search for videos based on what somebody said in the video and not what the name was, not what the presenter was. You can actually search videos based on transcripts now within Microsoft Stream. Really amazing. Okay, cognition. How many people have heard of learning tools? Only a small number, so let's take a look. Learning tools found its home first in OneNote. So if you open up OneNote on your devices, you will find under View something called the Immersive Reader. All I've done here is I've taken some text from Wikipedia on horses. How do we read that? Well, some people will just absolutely just read away. Some people won't be able to see it. Yep. Some people won't be able to understand it. Yep. Everybody will have their own different experience in terms of engaging with that text. So it's up to you to be able to personalize it. If you click the Immersive Reader, it takes that text and says to me, make it work for you. So here it is, well spaced on a black on a white background. But I can apply some magic here. That's what it would have looked like without the spacing. Too crowded. So I add the spacing. It may be too harsh, the white on the black, so I can put a pastel colour behind it, so it's much more relaxing on my eyes, so I can read it. I may want to split the syllables out, to make it easier for me to split the words up. Anatomy, developed, balance. Yeah? It's using artificial intelligence to take text and split it into syllables for me to make it easier for me to read. Some people need this, some people don't. It also allows me to highlight the verbs on the screen. I'll just put this onto white on black so it's a bit clearer. Here are our verbs. Here are our nouns. And here are our adjectives. And finally, if I wanted to focus on just one or two lines of my text, I can say I would like a one-line focus. Now, when it's being read aloud, this is playing, I can change the speed, the voice, the lines, the size of the words. I can do everything I want. Once I've decided this is how I like to consume text, you can always live that. You can always have it delivered to you that way through OneNote. And it's not just text. You can take a photograph of a book, and Office Lens will use character recognition to take the text from there and deliver your text to you in exactly the same way. You can take photographs from Office Lens, take photographs of all your work materials, share it up to OneNote, and apply the Immersive Reader to read it in the way that you like. Don't think of OneNote and don't think of learning tools. Concentrate on the features. The spacing is useful. The syllabification is useful. All of the read aloud with highlighting is useful. So it has to be everywhere. So open up Edge on your devices, find your favorite websites. I'm going to go to Wikipedia. I'm going to go back and look up horses. And this website, if you right click anywhere and read aloud, is giving me highlighted reading. So exactly what I expected to see in a specific program is just now a normal feature of the browser. You can use this on absolutely any website. This will also work on EPUB books, but it will also work on PDFs. So you can literally just take a PDF, work offline, you don't need to be online to use this, and have highlighted reading. Okay? Let me pause that. It's also finding a home in Word. It's finding a home in many different places. Okay, who uses Sway? Not many. Okay, so Sway also has accessibility built in. If we think of a lot of children getting started with their homework, what Sway allows you to do, allows you to start from a topic using artificial intelligence. I can say, I am working with Julius Caesar. I can type in Julius Caesar and it does 20% of the work for me. It says, here's the subject, you might want to talk about this, you might want to do this. The reason I'm telling you about it is that obviously helps children with all sorts of cognitive disabilities, but there's also what we call an accessibility view. You're going to start to see accessibility view appearing on a lot of our online products, so within Word and within Sway. And what this does is it takes your inaccessible materials, bad colour contrast, wrong scan order, all these sorts of things, and it makes them accessible for you. So even if the one thing you take away from today is that there's an accessibility mode on a lot of products, that might be one of them. Editor is also getting very interesting. So the spell checker, if I just right here, let's go into Word. So the spell checker is changing. What we used to have is just red lines that told you the word was incorrect. But if somebody with dyslexia didn't know whether it was correct or incorrect, how could they fix it? What we now do on a misspelled word, so if I type in here, and it says that's wrong, I can now right click and it looks for suggestions. But it also allows me to read them out loud. And I can hear that and say, yes, that's the word I wanted. For some reason, it's not giving me any reference information, but it would also give you descriptions of the words and tell you which word in context that was. So the spell checker is getting more intelligent. What we can also do is check your documents for good grammar. We can also check it for inclusive language. We can also check your documents for gender bias or race bias, believe it or not. These are all options that you get to turn on or off, depending. I mean, there's an interesting exercise to be done with many documents there. But also, if I go into the review section here, and I have read aloud, exactly what we wanted earlier, what we said we wanted in OneNote. We're creating this expectation that these tools will just be there. Okay? So, back to my presentation. This might be the photo time. Concentrate on the features. So I've shown you things like magnification, I've shown you things like high contrast. We can do lots of things within Windows, but when we think about consuming text and dictating and putting words down on screen, what we're really interested in on the left are the features. Reading aloud, spacing, doing syllables, the nouns, verbs, adjectives, the line focus feature. It's available on all of these platforms. So we're getting this to iPad, we're getting this to iPhone, we're getting this onto Android devices. For those of you that are taking photographs, make sure you're using Office Lens to take your photographs. Office Lens has the immersive reader in it. Office Lens allows you to take a picture of a piece of paper with printed text on it and have it read to you with OCR and highlighted, and change the font size and do all of those things. So rather than using a standard camera, it's a much more inclusive way of doing it. Yeah. You can ask me afterwards. Yeah. And the other thing we've done is eye control. Now, this brings me on to that other subject of just general innovation. Microsoft doesn't want to be every company. We don't want to do every single specialist solution that you would all ever want. But we do want to spark interest in new technologies. We do want to spark interest in things like artificial intelligence. How many of you benefit? I mean, people with disabilities benefit massively from artificial intelligence. We released an app called Seeing AI earlier this year, actually tail end of last year, which uses artificial intelligence on your iPhones. Any iPhone users, download Seeing AI, and you can basically face recognize. It will recognize people in a room and tell me who they are. It will read my handwriting for me, okay? It just read live handwriting. It will also recognize colours and speak the colours from the phone for somebody who's blind and wants to do their laundry. I can put it up to my washing machine and it will read the buttons on my washing machine for me to let me know that I'm pressing the correct buttons. And this is artificial intelligence. And eye control is one of those exciting new technologies that has for years been in the physical disability world, but we want you to get thinking about it. We want you to start thinking about what is possible. Using eye control, I can sit with a struggling reader and know exactly where they're looking. That is interesting to teachers. If you can see where a child's attention is, you change the way you speak. You just put eye gaze into Windows 10 as standard. So you can now buy a $150 eye control from Toby, a company called Toby, And you can basically get typing with your eyes for any of the kids with muscular dystrophy in the school or kids with cerebral palsy. They can use the mouse with their eyes. But we want you to start thinking more. Once you see this technology, start thinking, what more could this new technology deliver? And speak to us, because there's a lot of energy around accessibility right now within Microsoft. Okay, just to finish off, your one takeaway. Please, when you go back to your classrooms, pick out your favourite classroom material. Open it up in Word or PowerPoint or wherever you are and hit that button. The minute you hit that button, you're starting your journey on accessibility and thinking about your responsibility to author accessible content. This is not about a child with a disability landing in a classroom and going, how do I survive here? This is about you saying, I need to create materials that allow this child to flourish. And when I share that throughout my district, I'm making sure that I'm not creating a ton of work for somebody else who finds themselves in that situation. The minute you press that button, you will be adding labels to your images. You will be checking that you're using headings correctly. You'll be checking that the scan order of your documents are correct. And then you can confidently share that across. Please don't just focus on kids with disabilities though. This is also about parents with disabilities. We are talking of a generation of people who have their kids older, who are going to need to magnify, they're going to need you to help them to access things, the materials you also sent them. But also think about your employees. Employ somebody with a disability. This was the big learning at Microsoft. Until we actually employed people with disabilities into our innovation teams to design these products, to sit on our steering groups and say, you can't send me that email because it's not accessible, the whole thing started to self-police. So this is not just about what does the tech do, this is almost like a societal change for us as well, for you to recognise that actually accessibility is not just their problem, they have to sort it out for themselves and ask for a ramp to be supplied. This is about all of our responsibility to make accessibility a subject that we care about, and we can help you. So if you need this poster in your staff room, we can send that to you. Yeah? If you need stickovers for teachers so that they can put things on their monitors and go, did you think where this document might end up? We can help you with that, okay? But going back to the start of my presentation, please don't think disability is somebody else's issue. We all personalise our experience, whether we magnify, whether we prefer to listen, whether we prefer to use Alexa to change the radio station in the morning. We all use assistive technology every day, so make it something that you care about. And remember that we're there. So most people don't know this, but we have a completely free disability answer desk for everyone in the world with a disability using our products. If somebody cannot use Office, if somebody cannot use Word, they can get through to us. If they use a third-party piece of assistive technology, like a screen reader, like you may hear about JAWS or MVDA, if they use a Tobii eye gaze, they can contact our help desk and get help. Not only does that help us help them, but also it helps us keep the companies who make disability solutions aware of what we're doing and what we've changed, so that we get this virtuous circle of information so that everyone is kept up to date and kept compatible. We have taken 400,000 calls in a year on that service, and most people don't even know about it. There are 1 billion people in the world with a disability, so the more that we get people feeding back what they need from us and what they need our products to do, the sooner we'll make accessible, make technology accessible for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Hector.